Hi, I'm Miss Jean from the Central Branch of the Howard County Library System. Thanks for joining me today for Preschool Parade. This is a class that's designed for ages 2 to 5 and focuses on early learning concepts for school readiness. Today I'm going to share some rhymes and songs and a story and even an activity that you can try at home. So let's get started with a song that celebrates getting together even this way. The more we get together, you probably know this song, and I've got the words right here beside me to help us along. You ready? The more we get together, 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 the more we get together, the happier we'll be. 'Cause your friends are my friends and my friends are your friends. The more we get together, the happier we'll be. And I am happy that we're together today. So I want to share with you today some things, stories and rhymes and things that have to do with how things grow. Flowers, vegetables, trees, and an early learning tip for the grown-ups out there. This is a conversation that you can continue at home in your everyday routine. Talk with your children about the things that you're eating and where they come from and how they grow. And when you're outside, take a look at what's growing and changing and talk about it. Use a rich vocabulary so that your children get to understand that there are many ways to describe all the things that we can touch and see and taste. All right, let's start with a flower. I've got a rhyme for you about a flower, about how a flower grows. It's a finger play. So start with your hands in a fist like this. Goes like this. Here is a green leaf, and here is a green leaf. And that, you see, makes two. 1, 2. Here is the bud that makes the flower. Watch it bloom for you. Can you make it open up into a great big flower? You want to try it again? Get your hand in a fist. Okay, it's our stem. Our arms are like the stem. Here we go. Here is a green leaf, and here is a green leaf, and that, you see, makes 2. 1, 2. Here is the bud that makes the flower. Watch it bloom for you. There it goes. When you're outside, maybe you've seen a lot of different kinds of flowers growing. What colors have you seen? Orange, yellow, pink, purple? Well, you can have fun with this rhyme by taking a piece of material, any kind of fabric or a scarf or even a napkin, and scrunching it up in your hand, in your fist, like hide it, and you can make a colorful flower bloom. Let's try it again and see how that works. Here is a green leaf, and here is a green leaf, and that, you see, makes 2. 1, 2. Here is the bud that makes the flower. Watch it bloom for you. There's a beautiful, colorful bloom. It's got all different colors in it. I don't think I've seen a flower like that in my garden, but I'd like to. Now, what do you think? A flower blooms up on a stem, but that the stem is not the very starting point for that flower, right? It started somewhere further back, way down in the ground from a little seed. It was a seed in the ground that grew to become that flower. So let's do a rhyme about things growing from seeds now. You can pretend to be a seed, and you could do this with your hands or with your whole body. So get ready. It goes like this. Be a seed, small and round. Sprout, sprout, sprout up through the ground. Shake your leaves for all to see, and stand up tall. Now you're a tree. Yes, even a tree grows from a little seed. In fact, giant oak trees grow just from tiny acorns, don't they? You want to try it again? You could scrunch down into a ball on the floor. I'm going to mainly do it with my hands so that you can see. But you can crunch into a ball on the floor and then grow, grow, grow. Sprouts, and then leaves, and then big tall branches. Are you ready? Be a seed, small and round. Sprout, sprout, sprout up through the ground. Shake your leaves for all to see. Stand up tall, now you're a tree. Great job. Some trees are really big, aren't they? And some are not so big. What's the biggest tree you could see when you go outside? Is it bigger than you? Well, I'm going to tell you a story now about a very big vegetable. In fact, a turnip that grew to be very large. Now, this story is a folk tale from Russia called the turnip. And it starts with the grandfather. And the word for grandfather in Russian is diedushka. So diedushka is the one who planted the turnip. Diedushka planted a turnip. It grew and grew and grew. And when it got very big, Diedushka thought, it's time to pull up the turnip. So he pulled and pulled, but he couldn't pull it out. I think we're going to need your help with this. So can you practice pulling like this? Pulled and pulled. Okay. Keep it coming. Keep trying. We'll help Diedushka. Since he couldn't pull it out, he called his wife Babushka, the grandmother. Now, Babushka pulled Diedushka. Diedushka pulled the turnip. They pulled and pulled. Are you helping? But they couldn't pull it out. So they called their granddaughter Anushka. Now, Anushka pulled Babushka. Babushka pulled Diedushka. Diedushka pulled the turnip. They pulled and pulled, but they couldn't pull it out. So they called their dog Katushka. Here she is. Can you say all the names with me? Katushka pulled Anushka. Anushka pulled Babushka. Babushka pulled Diedushka. Diedushka pulled the turnip. They pulled and pulled, but they couldn't pull it out. So they called, who do you think? The cat, Natasha. Natasha pulled Katushka. Katushka pulled Anushka. Anushka pulled Babushka. Babushka pulled Diedushka. Diedushka pulled the turnip. They pulled and pulled, but they couldn't pull it out. Who was left to help? Oh, only the mouse. They called on the mouse, Ivana. Here she is. Now Ivana pulled Natasha. Natasha pulled Katushka. Katushka pulled Anushka. Anushka pulled Babushka. Babushka pulled Diedushka. Diedushka pulled the turnip. They pulled and pulled, and it still would not come out. Oh, they didn't know what to do. And then along came a little tiny beetle. And the beetle said, I'm big and stout. I can pull the turnip out. They weren't so sure, but the beetle grabbed onto the end and pulled them all. Get ready. They pulled together and pulled. They pulled it out. Whew. That was incredible. Look at that gigantic turnip. Oh my goodness. And it took the little beetle to have enough power to pull it all the way out. That turnip is almost as big as Diedushka, I think. I bet they were eating turnips for weeks. Now, have you ever eaten a turnip or seen a turnip? Well, turnips do grow down in the ground and the green part comes up from the top. There are a lot of vegetables that grow in the ground. Let's see what other kinds there might be. How about a sweet potato? They grow down in the ground. You have to dig them out. And other kind of potatoes, like this gold one. What other things might be down there growing? How about carrots? Carrots grow underground. Just the green leaves stick up from the top, but the orange part is all growing down, down, down in the dirt. It must be hard to grow that far down. And what other things grow down there? Onions. Here are some small spring onions, green onions. And like the carrots, they have leaves that stick out from the top of the dirt, but the onions grow down underneath where we can't see. And what about this vegetable? It looks like a turnip, doesn't it? It's purple like a turnip, but this is a beet. Beets are very delicious, and they usually have big leaves sticking out of the top that you can see above the ground. The beets grow down deep and you have to dig them up. If you have a chance to try a turnip, they are very beautiful, purpley color and juicy and sweet. What other things have you seen growing in the summer? Maybe you have tomato plants. Do tomatoes grow under the ground? No, tomatoes grow up under the leaves of the bushy plant. And when they grow, they start out green and they get bigger and bigger and bigger, but they're still green. And turning red is the last thing they do. It takes a lot of sunshine to make a tomato turn red. What about, oh, this smells so good, it's a peach. Where do peaches grow? Do they grow under the ground? No, peaches grow on trees. They hang from the branches and you have to reach up high and pick them. Next time you're eating something, think about where it might have been growing. Now I wonder, when I think about all those things that are growing underground, how they have enough space to get bigger and grow. It must be very tight down there, all that dirt. How do they make room to grow? Well, did you know they have helpers? What kind of helpers might they have down in the dirt? Worms. Worms are fantastic helpers in the garden. And when worms are down there in the dirt, they're building tunnels and burrowing around and making space and air pockets for food, for vegetables to grow bigger. And they are also fertilizing the dirt and making it more nutrient rich so that plants will grow stronger and bigger. So we're going to do a little rhyme about worms. Are you ready? I have some here, and you can help me figure out what color they are and how many we have. Okay? So here we go. One red wiggly worm. There he is. Under the sky so blue, along came, what color is this worm? Orange. Along came an orange one, and then there were, how many? Two. One, two. Whoops, uh-oh. Come back, worm. Two colorful wiggly worms climbing up a tree. Can you imagine them climbing up a tree? Along came, what color is this one? Purple. Along came a purple one, and then there were three. One, two, three. Three colorful wiggly worms searching for one more. A long squirmed, color's that one? Tan? A tan one. And now there are, how many? Did you say four? I think so. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 colorful wiggly worms. Into a puddle they dive. They do like wet places. Then along came, ooh, what color is this one? A blue one. And now there are 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 wiggly worms. Good counting. Now what if we make those 5 we just counted, we'll make our fingers into some worms. Let's see, how many worms could we have if we use both hands? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 worms. Can you get your worms ready? Put your hands out and get them ready to wiggle. We're going to do a song to the tune of The Farmer in the Dell, and it goes like this. The worms are all here now. The worms are all here now. Look at all the worms. The worms are all here now. The worms are wiggling now. The worms are wiggling now. Look at all the worms. The worms are wiggling now. They're burrowing down deep. They're burrowing down deep. Look at all the worms. They're burrowing down deep. Make some big tunnels in the dirt. Now they want to come back up again. They're squirming to the top. They're squirming to the top. Look at all the worms. They're squirming to the top. They're all exhausted now. They're all exhausted now. Look at all the worms. They're all exhausted now. Oh. Good work. Well, if you think worms are kind of interesting and you'd like to learn a little bit more about how they make tunnels, there's something you can make at home to study worm tunnels and get a nice little view of them. I'm going to show you how to do it. So I call this a worm hotel. I used an empty 2-liter plastic bottle, cut off the top, and inside I put a water bottle, this size, regular size water bottle, right down in the middle. And it helps if it's already full of water because it will stay steady better inside. And that pushes all the dirt to the edges so that when you put worms in there, you'll be able to see them out at the edges and they won't be clumped in the middle out of view. So you put the water bottle inside the bigger empty plastic bottle, and then you fill it with dirt. And you can see I have 2 different shades of dirt, different kinds of dirt, some darker dirt and some sand. You can see kind of striped through the middle. You don't have to do that, but I put in a stripe of sand because it's kind of interesting when the worms start to work and they make their tunnels and they move the dirt around. You'll be able to see how that sand is changing, is mixing in with all of the darker dirt. So you really see how the worms are changing the dirt underground. So once you've got your dirt in here, you pack it down good, and then you put in a little water, make it nice and damp because the worms need it to be just moist, not wet, just a little moist. And then you need to go dig some worms. Find a good spot with good dirt that you can dig in and see how many worms you can find. And put a couple into the top here. Drop them very gently into your dirt, maybe 3 of them if you find that many, and then put some nice dry dead leaves on top. They really like to eat those and they can pull them down into the dirt. And then you don't want to cover the top of the bottle, but it's a good idea to wrap some paper around the outside of the bottle. I just used some construction paper. You could use newspaper or anything you have at home to make it dark inside. The worms like to work in the dark. So once you got it all set like this, put it in a cool place, not out in the sunshine, somewhere in the shade, and leave it alone overnight. And then when you come back the next day and you take the cover off, you'll be able to see all the work that the worms did through the night. And you'll probably be able to look right through these windows to see their tunnels. Then the last thing you're going to do is dump all that dirt and the worms back outside into the dirt patch where you found them so that they can return to their permanent tunnels and be safe and free. Okay? So I hope you'll have fun with that activity. I think worms are pretty interesting. Now, I also wanted to share with you a few books you could check out from the library. You know, you can put books on hold now and pick them up at the library when it's convenient for you. So let me show you a few I have right here. This one is called Forest Club, A Year of Activities, Crafts, and Exploring Nature. It's by Chris Hirschman, and it's got all kinds of great ideas for things you can do outside. And it's divided by season, so you could look at for the summer things, like maybe you would like to collect some leaves from different kinds of trees and compare them. Look at all those different kinds of leaves you could find. Or maybe you'd like to see this Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood book called Let's Play Together that's full of crafts and projects and activities that you can do together at home. Now here's a book I love from the picture book collection called Do You Know Which Ones Will Grow? It's by Susan Shea, and it has some fantastic riddles to help us understand about what kinds of things grow and what things don't grow. Like if a snakelet, that's a baby snake, can grow into a snake, can a cupcake grow and become a cake? What do you think? Cupcakes don't grow into cakes, do they? But you'll have fun listening to those funny rhymes about growing. And finally, Babushka's Mother Goose. This is by Patricia Polacco. And in this book, you can find the story of the turnip that I told you, as well as lots of other Russian folktale rhymes, tongue twisters, and fun little stories. I'm so glad you could join me today. We're going to finish up with a Goodbye Wave rhyme. This is by Rob Reed. And let me share the words with you. I hope you can see that. It goes like this. Wave high, wave low. I'm sad to say it's time to go. Wave your elbows. Where are your elbows? Wave your toes. Wave your tongue. Wave your nose. Wave your knees in your chair. Wave your lips. Blow a kiss with your fingertips. Wave your ears. Probably have to help them along. Wave your hair. Wave your belly and derriere. That's French for your bottom. Wiggle in your seat. Wave your chin. Wave your eyes. Wave your hand and say goodbye. Goodbye, friends. Thanks again for joining me today. I hope you will check out our website, hclibrary.org, for lots more resources and classes, and I hope I'll see you again soon. Thank you.